January 17th, 1942. The sun barely breaks over the snow-choked outskirts of Leningrad. You can almost feel the frost biting through layers of wool as the wind howls across the empty streets. Up above, the sky is streaked with the faint silhouettes of German reconnaissance planes, their engines a distant growl, scanning the city like predators sizing up their prey. Below, the real Leningrad shivers under siege, factories sputtering with frozen machinery, the heart of Soviet industry at risk of silence forever. Inside a dimly lit command post, Colonel Boris Ivanov stands over a map, pencil in hand. His eyes, sharp and calculating, dart between the ravaged city and a barren stretch of fields miles to the east. "We can't let them destroy it," he mutters under his breath, the faint accent of a Leningrad native coloring the words. Around him, officers whisper nervously, their breaths fogging in the cold. The Luftwaffe is relentless. Day after day, wave after wave of bombers rain fire and metal on the city. Entire districts are reduced to skeletons of brick and steel. But Ivanov sees something others do not: opportunity in illusion. He envisions a deception so intricate, so convincing, that German pilots will drop their deadly payloads on nothing but air and plywood. A fake city, alive with the sounds and movements of industry, yet entirely hollow. The plan is audacious, borderline insane, but in war, audacity can be survival. Outside, the wind carries the faint metallic echo of factory machinery, a haunting soundtrack of a city under siege. Ivanov's team begins to work feverishly. Engineers, painters, and soldiers construct skeletal frames from plywood, raising chimneys and fake rooftops over the frozen fields. Canvas screens, meticulously painted with shadows of smokestacks and rail cars, stretch across the horizon. Every detail, every crooked board is calculated to deceive the human eye and the cold precision of aerial reconnaissance. But the genius of Ivanov's plan isn't in the visual trick alone. Hidden beneath the snow, large sound systems, cabled and powered by generators, play looped recordings of factory noises, clanging hammers, churning gears, the hiss of steam vents. From above, it's indistinguishable from the rumble of real industry. You can almost hear it yourself now, a mechanical heartbeat in the middle of a frozen wasteland, daring the Luftwaffe to strike. As the first wave of bombers appears on the horizon, engines roar, shadows sweep across the snow, and then chaos from above. You can almost feel the ground tremble as bombs explode harmlessly against the decoy city. Flames dance on painted facades, wooden chimneys splinter, and yet not a single life is lost, not a single engine stilled. Ivanov watches from his post, jaw tight, heart pounding. Did it work? Will the Germans see through it? Or is this brilliant ruse doomed to failure?
February 3rd, 1942. Dawn breaks over the snow-covered fields east of Leningrad. The decoy city glimmers under a thin frost, chimneys painted black against the pale horizon. From 20,000 feet above, German reconnaissance planes approach, their cameras clicking relentlessly. Every shutter snap immortalizes the illusion below. A city that exists only on plywood and paint, yet looks impossibly real. Inside the Luftwaffe's command tent, analysts huddle over maps and photographs. Smoke curls from their cigarettes, mingling with the bitter winter air. Leningrad is intact, but these factories, they've moved, one officer mutters, squinting at the aerial shots. We'll hit them again tomorrow, harder, faster. Orders are dispatched, bomber squadrons buzzing with mechanical precision. Back in the Soviet fields, Ivanov walks among the decoy streets. Snow crunches beneath his boots, masking the hum of hidden generators. Soldiers scuttle behind painted facades, feeding the illusion of life. Each step is choreographed, every detail matters. A gust of wind carries the clatter of fake machinery from the speakers, and for a moment, Even Ivanov wonders how a city of plywood can feel so alive. By mid-afternoon, the first German bombers appear, a swarm of Messerschmitts, engines roaring like angry beasts. You can almost hear the pilots calling out coordinates, scanning the horizon. From above, the decoy city stretches realistically, with painted shadows of rail cars and tiny workers moving between chimneys. The bombers dive, bombs rain down. Explosions rock the empty fields, splintering wood, scattering snow, but the factories remain untouched miles away. The Luftwaffe commander frowns at the reports coming in. Bombs are falling, but not on the real targets. Confusion ripples through the ranks. Recon photos show smoke and destruction, but the industrial output of Leningrad continues uninterrupted. Every sortie the Germans fly costs fuel, planes, and morale, yet the Soviet colonel's deception grows more audacious with each attack. Ivanov feels a strange mix of exhilaration and dread. The operation has begun to attract attention beyond the immediate battlefront. Word spreads among Soviet officers. The music box is playing its tune, and the enemy dances to it blindly. But sustaining the illusion is exhausting. Soldiers sleep in shifts on frozen ground, adjusting the sound systems, repairing splintered structures, repainting shadows. One mistake could unravel weeks of careful planning. Night falls, and a pale moon casts long shadows over the decoy streets. Ivanov stands alone, listening to the faint echoes of German bombers fading into the distance. He knows this is only the beginning. For a month, the Luftwaffe will strike at emptiness while Leningrad's factories hum quietly behind reinforced walls. And yet, the colonel can't shake the tension. The line between success and catastrophe is thinner than the frost coating the plywood rooftops. As the wind carries the distant roar of approaching bombers, Ivanov smiles grimly. Tomorrow, the game continues. But how long before the Germans catch on? February 10th, 1942. The first light barely grazes the horizon, painting the snow in ghostly shades of gray. From high above, the Luftwaffe approaches again, this time with heavier bombers, their payloads bristling under wing and fuselage. You can almost hear the thrum of engines growing louder, the vibration in the cold air pressing down on the frozen fields below. On the ground, Ivanov and his team are already at work. Soldiers shuffle behind canvas screens, repairing splintered planks, adjusting the giant sound systems that replicate the clanging, hammering, and hissing of a living city. Every note, every echo must be perfect. If even a single machine hum is off, the illusion could falter. Smoke rises from painted chimneys, curling into the sky like real exhaust from active factories. The decoy breathes. From above, German pilots mark targets carefully. Every bomb dropped lands with precision, on streets that do not exist, on rooftops that hide nothing but snow and timber. Explosions tear through the decoy city, splintering wood and sending fake smoke into the bitter air. Soldiers duck behind facades, bracing for the concussion, counting heartbeats and silently cheering as each wave passes without hitting the real Leningrad. Inside the Luftwaffe command, frustration mounts. Reports from reconnaissance showed destruction, but the factories, vital to the Soviet war effort, continued to produce armaments and munitions without interruption. Commanders fume, unable to understand how their intelligence fails so spectacularly. "This is impossible," one officer mutters, flipping through aerial photographs. Every attack seems to hit nothing. Meanwhile, Ivanov walks through the decoy city, boots crunching over frost-laden plywood. The echoes of the German attack still ring faintly from the speakers, blending eerily with the real explosions in the distance. He pauses, taking in the sight of burning fake chimneys, clouds of painted smoke curling into the gray sky. It looks real, too real. A shiver runs down his spine, not from cold, but from the audacity of the deception. For a month, wave after wave of German bombers strike at the phantom Leningrad. Pilots adjust their tactics, thinking the city has moved or hidden its most critical factories. Each attack costs planes, fuel, and morale. And every night, Ivanov's team rebuilds, repaints, and repositions, ensuring the illusion remains flawless. It is exhausting, relentless work, but the payoff is immeasurable. The survival of Leningrad's factories, the bloodline of the Soviet war effort. By mid-February, rumors of the music box spread through Soviet ranks. Whispers speak of a colonel who has turned deception into an art form, fooling the Luftwaffe for an entire month. Even some German pilots, returning from raids, begin to doubt their eyes. How can a city burn again and again, yet remain unbroken? Is it witchcraft or genius? As another bomber formation disappears into the gray sky, Ivanov looks over his decoy city, smoke curling from fake chimneys, shadows stretching across snow. He knows the Germans are getting desperate. The Luftwaffe's obsession with the illusion will grow, and with it, the risk of exposure. One mistake now could turn months of meticulous planning into ashes. And somewhere deep inside, he wonders how long can the Germans be made to dance to a song they cannot hear.
February 26, 1942. A brittle wind scours the frozen plain east of Leningrad, rattling loose boards and snapping canvas like sails at sea. You can almost feel the tension in the air, sharp, electric, waiting for something to break. For nearly a month now, the Luftwaffe has poured fire onto this patch of nothing, convinced it has found the relocated heart of Soviet industry. But war has a way of punishing certainty. Inside a German reconnaissance aircraft, an observer presses his face closer to the glass. Something feels wrong. The smoke columns look right, the layout still matches earlier photographs, but the destruction patterns don't make sense. Bomb craters overlap too neatly. Entire blocks appear destroyed again and again, yet their outlines remain strangely consistent. He marks a note in the margin of his report, minor discrepancy, probably nothing. On the ground, Ivanov senses the danger before he can articulate it. The decoy city has been hit so many times that repairs now border on theater. Soldiers replace beams that were never meant to survive this long. Painted shadows must be repainted almost daily. The sound systems, once crisp and convincing, strain under constant use, their mechanical rhythms sometimes slipping out of sync. A factory that sounds too perfect can be just as suspicious as one that goes silent. One night, a generator fails. For 30 seconds, the clanging machinery noise stops. 30 seconds of unnatural quiet in the middle of a working industrial district. Ivanov freezes. You can almost hear his heartbeat pounding louder than the wind. Engineers scramble, hands numb, fingers bleeding as they reconnect cables in the dark. The sound returns just as flares bloom overhead. From the sky, German pilots see the flares drift down, illuminating streets, buildings, rooftops. Everything looks right again. The moment passes, but doubt has entered the equation. And once doubt exists, it grows. Back at Luftwaffe headquarters, commanders argue. Some insist the factories must be underground. Others claim Soviet repairs are simply miraculous. Still, bombs keep falling because abandoning a target means admitting a mistake, and mistakes at this level are career-ending. The illusion feeds not just on paint and plywood, but on German pride. Ivanov understands this instinctively. He leans into it. The decoy city becomes more active, not less. Louder machinery sounds, more visible movement, smoke plumes thickened with carefully timed fires. If the enemy is watching harder, then the performance must be bolder. Yet the strain is unbearable. Men collapse from exhaustion. Supplies run thin. The decoy has done its job, but the longer it lives, the greater the risk it will die the wrong way. Ivanov studies his maps late into the night, candle flickering, shadows dancing across the paper. He knows the deception cannot last forever. The question is no longer if the Germans will see through it, only when. And when they do, will it already be too late?
March 12, 1942. The sky over the frozen fields is strangely quiet. No distant engines, no trembling horizon, just wind scraping snow across plywood streets that have learned the shape of fire. You can almost feel the absence pressing down, the kind of silence that only comes when something is about to end. Inside a Luftwaffe briefing room, the tone has shifted. A senior intelligence officer stands over a table littered with photographs, weeks of destruction mapped and remapped. He points to a sequence of images taken days apart. The same factory roofline, the same shadows, the same outline despite repeated direct hits. Cities do not behave like this, he says flatly. No one argues. Orders change. Reconnaissance flights widen their arcs. Bombers are held back. The Luftwaffe's gaze finally drifts away from the phantom. Not with certainty, but with suspicion strong enough to break the spell. The asterisk factory district east of Leningrad is quietly downgraded as a priority target. On the ground, Ivanov feels it before he receives confirmation. Another day passes, then another. No bombs, no flares. The generators continue to hum, the recorded machinery clanks echoing across empty fields. But now the sound feels hollow. The music box is playing to an empty sky. Ivanov orders it stopped. One switch, then another. The artificial city dies not in fire, but in silence. Smoke fires are extinguished. Soldiers dismantle walls that never truly existed. Canvas is rolled up, plywood stacked, wires pulled from frozen ground. Within days, the decoy dissolves back into snow and emptiness, leaving behind only bomb craters, dozens of them, silent proof of the deception. Miles away, in the real Leningrad, factories continue to run. Artillery shells roll off assembly lines, engines roar to life. The city still starves, still freezes, still bleeds, but it survives. And survival in 1942 is victory enough. Ivanov has never formally celebrated. There is no parade for a city that never existed. His operation is filed away under a single word: Maskirovka. Deception. Doctrine. Another tool of war. The men who built the illusion return to their units. Some will die before the year is out. Some will never speak of what they did. But for 1 month, the Luftwaffe bombed shadows. For 1 month, German pilots fought a city made of sound and paint. For 1 month, a Soviet colonel proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon is not steel, but belief. The bomb craters remain, frozen into the earth, silent monuments to a lie so convincing it reshaped the battlefield.